Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Done Right. Today, I'm actually in the home of some new construction for a client of mine that's being built, and they're about 3 months away from being finished up. That's kind of what they estimate. They've had some delays because of COVID and crews just being out sick and stuff like that, and then some material shortages as well have kind of played a hand in that. But I'm going to show you guys what to look for as you're walking through new construction. Now, I came here about a week and a half ago to check in, and they just started the HVAC, and they told me that in about a week or so, then they'd be having the 4-way inspection. So I came back last night, and it wasn't all done yet. So I'll keep coming back. But I'll do the video now, and I'll just tell you the further things I'm going to check when I come back in the future, just so you know what to look for as you're walking through your new construction as well. So now a 4-way, what that refers to is it's a big inspection that happens before framing. Before sheetrocking. So the 4 items covered in the 4-way are framing, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. So I'm gonna walk through and show you kind of what I will be checking for. Some of it's done, like HVAC's done and everything. Electrical has not been done yet. So I'll tell you though what I will look for as I come back to check the electrical. As well. So anyways, I'll go ahead and flip you guys around and just kind of walk through and show you guys things that I check as I'm walking through new construction. So first of all, I'll start out here in the garage. You want to make sure that extra features that your client's paying for, that you're paying for, are being put in. Like this right here is actually to charge an electric car, which my client has. So obviously that's very important to have that in the house. And it's getting put in, which is fantastic. So I'll just look up here, make sure that everything looks good. And it looks good, right? Everything's even. It all looks like it's well made. It looks like it's all flat across. One's not like kind of sagging. It would cause a big sag in the sheetrock or whatever, right? You see right here, those are some vents. That'll be some vents for the attic, which you want to have. The attic needs to breathe a little bit and everything. But yeah, it all looks good. Framing looks good. All the studs are uniform. And as I walk throughout the house, I'll be looking for that, right? And I probably won't find any errors at all in the framing. The framing crews, they're really good. And, so I don't foresee that I'll see any errors, but I do want to also make a mental note, or even just have a video of where all the studs are. Just because sometimes, things might be a bit weird, right? Like, this isn't weird. Usually there'll be like an extra stud over a door, In this case, this wall is framed on a 20-inch versus a 16-inch. So I want to know that because this is a pretty big gap to not have any studs. And if he's trying to hang like a heavier picture here, there's no studs to hang on. So we just want to know that there's no studs there so we can get the proper anchors and just know he needs to before he pokes a bunch of holes looking for a stud, right? Sometimes over large doors as well, like I know when I built my own house, there was is a very small area above the walk-in to the master bathroom, and there's just no studs above it. And so when I was hanging my barn door, it was nice to know that so that I could just make arrangements of where I put that backer board and all the lag bolts to get them elsewhere in all the studs possible, right? So it's just nice to know where the studs are and have it like a record of it by making a video walkthrough. Now, part of the framing, obviously these right here, these are where cabinets will attach to the walls. It's nice to have these little kind of plates in between the studs, just because it allows more freedom of where you can sink screws in, right? The cabinets are gonna be where they're gonna be based upon the layout of the wall. And sometimes, if a cabinet is like spanning a stud, you can only put screws maybe in the center, wouldn't be as sturdy as putting, 2 in the bottom, 2 in the top in those kind of cross plates. So nice to know that those are going in there. Okay, now, and I've looked at all the framing, everything else looks fine. So I'm gonna show you guys other things I look for. Now, a big thing is electrical. So this is an island, obviously. And there's no electrical run to the house yet. But when there is, I'm actually gonna measure all the outlets on the ground. Those are usually pretty easy to be pretty proper. And so I will just I'll go through, I'll visually look and measure if I need to make sure that one wasn't put an inch low by accident. because you'll see it, when there's a baseboard there and there's, 12 inches and then here's 11 inches, you're gonna see that and it'll look funny. It matters especially in the kitchen area. So if the kitchen ones will be higher up because they'll go above the counter, and they might only be like 6 inches off the counter. So if one's even just a ½ inch low, even a ¼ inch low, because it's such a small area, then you'll see that difference. And so I'll be really precise as I measure, from the floor up to the outlets that are going to go underneath or above the cabinets. So and then I'll just make sure that and also when there is lights put in, I'll actually look and just kind of measure and make sure that they're all uniform. Personally, in my own house, I moved every single light except for my kitchen can lights. In my living room, there's like kind of different layout, but there's like 2 rows of 3 can lights, and there was like from one wall there was it's like 42 inches from the wall. On the other side, it was like 28 inches from the wall. So like they weren't even uniform because they put up these ones first. And then over here, there's like some plumbing lines that went, so it couldn't go right where it needed to. They put them just to the left of them instead. But they didn't go back and move the other ones to be uniform, right? So it looked really, really funny. So I just moved them all into like a uniform space so that it was symmetrical. And all the bedrooms in my house, it was 6 to 8 inches off. And so I moved all of them to be in the dead center of the room. Because I knew, like, okay, you won't notice when it's just those small little boob lights. But I knew that once I put a fan in some of the bedrooms, those blades, as they're being closer to the wall, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe 3 feet here and 4 feet over here, 3.5 feet over here. Now you'll see that it's not centered. And so I wanted everything in the exact center of the room. So when I'll come through again, I'll measure and make sure the lights are all centered and that they look nice where they are. So, okay, now what we're seeing here obviously is ductwork. So in this house, the HVAC is on the middle. It's on the upstairs. So the bottom kind of comes over here and feeds. And I'll make sure that everything's connected, because it's kind of common that these aren't actually connected right away, and they forget sometimes. In my house, I caught one of them wasn't connected, and the four-way had already happened. The inspector didn't even catch it, but I caught it, so I could say, hey, hold up, go connect that real quick, or else it'd just be blowing into that subfloor space. So one thing in this house that I actually emailed the agent about was I kind of saw this yesterday when I was coming through. There's a drain in that utility room, in the mechanical room, and where that was putting it, it's pinching off that main duct line. So I'm not a huge fan of that. It's going to cut the airflow and just make it less efficient. And then all of the vents coming from that are going to be hindered. So that's going to be something that I'm going to have them fix. They can move that drain a little bit, or they'll do what they want to do, but that's going to be fixed. So that's one thing I noticed that I think probably the inspector would have not seen or cared about possibly, but I do. And so, that's why I come through, is to catch things like that before they're covered up. So, I'm kind of looking at all these, all the different vents to make sure that they're all there. So in here, this is a bathroom. This was an extra cost. So I'll make sure that this was put in, and I can see that's a toilet drain, water for the toilet. Over here you have the drain plug, and then, hot and cold. So obviously there's not drain plug, the drain. So the sink is going to go in right here. Perfect. They didn't forget to put the bathroom in, like he paid for. And then there's like this is for the vent, the bathroom vent and that kind of thing. And there's always HVAC in a bathroom, so I'm glad that that's there. Okay. So it looks good. So coming upstairs, a little closet right there. And then coming upstairs, I'm just going to kind of make sure I'm just looking at all the framing again. Just it all looks fine. I can see here that this is right here is the laundry room. So it's got water, got the dryer duct, so it'll get power coming in here as well. Here's the furnace and everything like that, and the air conditioner. So here's that duct work. This right here is the one that's getting pinched off. As this goes and feeds down to feed that main level, this is where it's getting pinched off. So, and it's because this drain right here, it's that little drain pipe right there. I think that's That's the gas. There's a drain. Oh, this right here. That drain pipe is what's pinching it off as it comes this way. So it's gonna have to get moved. So I'm just checking, right? Make sure, obviously, plumbing is done. So sink drain has a nice slope to it the right direction. Hot and cold for the toilet. Shower pan's in. Not back yet, they'll probably frame it first. Or they'll have this inspection first, because then they'll put a special sheetrock behind it before they put in these. So, but I got the hot and cold water and everything put in there. So, bedroom, it's got a vent, perfect. No lights, but when there is lights, I'll come back, I'll measure, make sure it's in the center of the room. So, that kind of thing. So yeah. Also, one thing I'll be checking for, because my client actually, he paid for an extra light to go above the stairs. There's one that's up here in the top of the landing, and we paid one to have one right over there too, just to help get this stairway nice and lit. So I'll make sure that that's put in as well. So yeah, another thing that I meant to show you when I was downstairs. So, and this all looks really good. I mean, this all looks fine, right? Got there's a duct in every single room for the air conditioning and the heating and everything. So this blue right here, this is a firewall between the next unit, since this is a townhome. One thing that I also, yesterday I was looking for, I was like, at first I was concerned for a second because I couldn't find it, but the electrical. And if you look in here, there's some trash in here, which is common that people just, trash falls in because they put their drinks up here and everything. But right here, there's a conduit. And I'm not sure where the other end of it is, but they'll know where it is, to run wiring to get into to put some outlets in the island. Islands have to have their own power run to it. So it has to go, this is put in before the floor is ever poured. So I always make sure that's there. Obviously it's good too. If not, you got to tear up the floor to run some wiring, because you have to have power in the island per code. So both for outlets, for appliances and blenders and stuff to get plugged in, but also for the garbage disposal on the sink. So yeah, let me flip it around and talk and say goodbye. So I hope that's like a helpful walk through. That's just things that I look for. So. And again, I'll keep coming through every few days. This is like the part where you come through really, really often, because you want to come in before it's covered up with sheetrock and see everything. So, I wasn't coming through during the framing really very often, or before that, because there wasn't really a need to. But now that this is almost done, I'm gonna come like every other day probably to make sure I can catch the electrical getting put in before there's a four-way and before it gets sheetrocked. Obviously, things can get fixed after sheetrock, but it's a lot more complicated because, like, for example, some people that I know, they live in my neighborhood. Our builder wasn't like the greatest builder. They had a lot of quality issues. I caught a lot of stuff with my house before, luckily, because I was there so often. But one of their, like the upstairs, like in the, like the one of the bathtubs, the sink drain, or the bathtub drain wasn't attached. The plumber never finished connecting it. And so they move in and they're taking a shower, and all the water was just dumping onto the sheetrock in the ceiling in the living room. And all of a sudden it just like, boom, just like all fell in. Just this muddy, sopping mess of sheetrock. And of course the builder fixed it, right? They paid for everything. They got new carpet, they put up new sheetrock, fixed the drain, everything, right? But you walk in to their house, right? And where all those lines were cut, as they pulled off the bad sheetrock and then they put new sheetrock back up, the texturing just, you can never quite get texturing perfect, right? When you have like a seam or you put new sheetrock in. So you can kind of still see like a bit of scarring around their living room, because that's just that's just what happens when you have to replace a ceiling basically. So you want to catch everything you can before sheetrock, because you don't want to have to mess with sheetrock. You want that to stay perfect, have the texturing stay perfect, and everything like that. So yeah, when you're building a house, don't be afraid, right? I came here today. This door is zip tied shut, probably just for the wind, so the wind won't blow it around. And today, this door wasn't here yesterday when it came through. Today, there's like a bolt kind of shoved through into the deadbolt section. And I'm like, let me just kind of slides in there. I'll put it back in when I leave. But I pulled it out because I want to see this place. And in this case, I wanted y'all to see it too and make a video. But I was hoping to see some electrical today as well. But kind of make it happen. Like, the builders don't usually like people to walk through. And I would say to make sure you're going to walk through, I've heard some builders even will make you sign something saying that you won't walk through during construction. I'd be like, dude, I'm walking through. I'll have you escort me versus go myself if you like that for liability purposes better. But I would for sure walk through your house often, because you got to catch things before they're covered up to keep make sure that quality stays high. These guys see a lot of houses, so you definitely want to catch things beforehand. It's your house. You have a right to walk through it, I think. So, and most people, if you're pretty cool about it, you're not bugging people, they don't usually mind, and so, but anyways, I hope this is helpful. So kind of a longer episode, but I hope you like kind of just seeing new construction. I hope just, talking about things will help you know what to look for if you're building a house, or if you're an agent and you have a client building a house and you're not really sure how to help them. If it's your first time working with new construction, hopefully this helped you to kind of, learn from this, and then you can sound smart talking to them as you're walking through and showing them your house and all the sticks and pipes everywhere. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you watched till the end, you guys are champs. I appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time.